Welcome back to Global News Morning. Always good to see you. Always good to check in with our good friend Matt Lee. We catch up with him this time every week. Good morning, Matt. How are you, bud?
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Housing market in Kingston and the region is through the roof. A lot of people looking. And you might come across different furnaces in different homes, some old, some new. You're here to talk us through furnaces. This is Furnaces 101, what to look for and what you need to know.
Yeah. I always refer to the experts. One thing I talk to the listing, when I'm getting a listing ready, if we're dealing with a furnace that is over a certain age, usually I ask the people to have it serviced. One is because then we can ask for a date from the experts. We can provide to the buyer that it's in good working order, and that if there's any issues, we can actually get ahead of it before getting to that point. That doesn't always happen, when you're walking through homes. So identifying, different things when it comes to a furnace is the best case scenario.
And I think what to look for right off the bat, from the limited knowledge that I have, is look for an energy efficient sticker.
Yep, you can look for an energy efficient sticker for sure. There's no question about that. When we're trying to judge age, we actually tend to look for a few different things as well. Like what we had talked about this before the show. Where we talk about black ABS piping coming out of a natural gas or propane furnace. In 2006, they actually changed it so that they used a white PVC piping coming out of the furnace that then exhausts out of the house. Before that, they used a black ABS piping. And the reason they changed was because even though that the furnaces are a high efficiency, there's still some heat coming out of that exhaust. And that black ABS couldn't hold that heat, and it would actually crack, which means that you would actually get some carbon monoxide in the house. There would be some exhaust that's actually filtering in through the basement. So what I always suggest when there's black piping is to replace it. The minimum thing you should do is have a furnace person in to they have a wand that they can tell if there's any leaking. And they can test that. So I think that that's a minimum that I would do when you're doing a servicing. But the concern is that the furnace person comes, looks at it, everything's perfectly fine, and next week it cracks. We're getting to the age that if they change that in 2006, that it's starting to become older now anyways. So like if it becomes brittle and there's more of a chance, I'm not saying you have to change the furnace, but I would change the exhaust personally.
Right. What's a good thing to look for when you're looking at a furnace? The age, obviously, and how do you tell?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, it's in the barcode. I find it very difficult to tell. I always tell people when they have a furnace and they have an age and they know it, to take a black Sharpie and write it right on the furnace, as a homeowner, because it can be difficult. If you're looking at a barcode and it's a different make and it's a different model, you can actually take a picture of it and call the 800 number that is on that, connected to that company. If you give them the barcode, they'll tell you the age.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if you want to go into in-depth, that is where you would go. The next picture we have is a steel pipe coming out of the exhaust instead of having plastic pipes. So there's two different types of furnaces that I know of that have this. One is oil, and the other is a mid-efficient natural gas or propane. So when you're dealing with something that's mid-efficient, that means that more heat is actually going out of the pipe than say the higher efficient furnaces. So those are the lower efficiencies. It means you're burning off some gas and you're not using it all, and it becomes it's a little more costly. You have to look at the different situations. That would be one that I would discuss with a furnace person. When is it time to upgrade to a high efficiency, or even the next step, a full efficiency, electric forced air? That could be something to look at as well. The electric forced air, I actually had one of these 15 years ago, and I thought they were great. Personally, they have 3 coils in them, and basically it's a big heat coil. People get scared when they start thinking about electric because the first place that you go is electric baseboard, and they were expensive, and that's one of those things that is good for backup. But this system I found to be very, very efficient. It's set up just the way you would normally have it. You have a thermostat on the wall. It's a large. You have to have a 200 amp panel in the house, but it is a 3-coil system. You can put the AC in that unit, the plume above, just the way you would on a regular furnace. And I can see people going this way, when we're starting to lower the carbon, right? So I think that, and they're 100% efficient. You're not burning anything off. There's no exhaust pipes. That coil turns on and that fan comes on and blows it into the house. It's really interesting. If they can get that energy, that heat coil up to a certain temp without burning too much energy, that'll be an interesting one.
Can you tell us about a heat pump?
Yeah. So a heat pump is actually a combination between a heat pump and it actually does central air as well. So that is a larger unit that sits outside, and they're generally good until minus 15 because what they're doing is circulating in and out. That is something that I would probably say talk to the furnace experts about, of how much money you want to spend, because that is an additional system. That is not your main system. You're going to have an air handler or a furnace inside, and then you're going to have the heat pump outside. So it's something definitely to talk about, because you could be more energy efficient. It's just going to be an additional cost to get that unit there. Something to talk about for sure.
All right, there is a lot to consider here and a lot to know. We thank you for breaking it down for us, Mr. Matt Lee. If you need to get in touch with Matt, here's how to get a hold of him. Thank you so much, sir.
Bye now.
Real Estate Tips, brought to you by Matt Lee of Royal LePage.